in Islamic finance, and he served like the Islamic community for decades, and he's been in the teaching, and he's being a permanent member in the IFTA at Amja, and I think it is a very big honor for us to have him here to benefit from his knowledge and to help answer some of the questions that we might have. In particular, today's topic is about, Islamic finance for the housing. So for that, I would like to bring Dr. Ma'an Qada, and please come on here. And thank you very much for coming here tonight from Texas to Massachusetts, just for that reason.
Assalamu alaikum. If someone lost a phone, an iPhone, a black iPhone, I have it. So, yeah, it was here in the praying area. Says, it's yours? I have it. Okay, it's a black one with a picture of a small young boy. It's yours?
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أختنا سعيدة حماها توفى من يومين صح، فنسيت أن ندعو لها بعد صلاة العشاء. اللهم إنه عبدك وابن عبدك وابن أمتك، إن كان محسنا فزد في إحسانه، وإن كان مسيئا فتجاوز عن سيئاته. اللهم لا تحرمنا أجره ولا تفتنا بعده واغفر لنا وله. اللهم اغفر له وارحمه وعافيه واعف عنه واكرم نزله ووسع مدخله واغسله من خطاياه بالماء والثلج والبرد. اللهم أبدله دارا خيرا من داره وأهلا خيرا من أهله وجيرانا خيرا من جيرانه. اللهم ارزق له الصبر والسلمان. اللهم ارحم أمواتنا وأموات المسلمين أجمعين. اللهم ارحم أمواتنا وأموات المسلمين أجمعين. اللهم وسع لهم في قبورهم. اللهم آنس وحشتهم. اللهم آنس وحدتهم. اللهم اغسلهم بالماء والثلج والبرد. اللهم ارحمنا إذا صرنا إلى ما صاروا إليه. وجزاكم الله خير. والسلام عليكم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أمسينا وأمسى الملك لله والحمد لله لا شريك له، لا إله إلا هو إليه النشور. أمسينا على فطرة الإسلام وكلمة الإخلاص وعلى دين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى ملة أبينا إبراهيم حنيفا وما كان من المشركين. اللهم إنا أمسينا منك في نعمة وعافية وستر، فأتم علينا نعمتك وعافيتك وسترك في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما أمسى بنا من نعمة أو بأحد من خلقك فمنك وحدك لا شريك لك، فلك الحمد ولك الشكر. يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي بجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. رضينا بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم نبيا ورسولا. أحبتي، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. طبتم وطاب ممشاكم وتبوأتم من الجنة منزلا بإذن الله. ثم أما بعد. First of all, I'm really glad and happy to have the opportunity of visiting this masjid, this community. Jazakumullah khairan all those brothers and sisters who were behind arranging for this event. Jazakumullah khairan kathiran. Thank you so much for my partner and my host, Dr. Mufid, who decided recently to join Guidance College for Masters in Islamic Finance. So inshallah, after a few semesters, he will be taking my place here and talk inshallah about Islamic finance. This is an interesting topic for all of us. And as it was announced, it will be about Islamic mortgage companies in the USA. Islamic mortgage companies in the USA. How many components we have in this topic? Islamic mortgage companies in the USA. It makes a lot of sense to break down this topic into 4 different components. Let's first of all talk about mortgage. When you say, for example, that so and so individual mortgaged the house, let's unlock the secret of this transaction. What does it mean from a fiqh perspective? Why from a fiqh perspective? Because in most cases, you find a lot of discrepancy between the essence of a term that you read in a contract versus the same term that you read somewhere else. Sometimes you read in the classical fiqh books certain terms related to riba, right? You read riba al-fadl and riba al-nasa and riba al-nasiya and riba al-diyun and riba al-jahiliya. You get frustrated, you get disappointed because none of the above does apply in our daily life. You read in different contracts something called interest, sometimes late fees, charge, penalty, overdraft charge, bonus, commission, different terms that you do not find any clear-cut definition for them in the traditional Islamic fiqh books, and that's why we get confused. When you say that so and so individual mortgaged the house, what does it mean? Let's unlock the secret of the mortgage first of all. When you mortgage a house, you get involved in 3 different transactions, I would say almost simultaneous. There is a sale agreement where you buy the house from the landlord. And there is a loan agreement. You do not have that $500,000 to pay for the house. You go to the mortgage company and you ask them to finance the house for you. Upon approving your application, they would issue a check on your behalf, payable to the landlord, $500,000. You pay it back $800,000 within the next 30 years. And the third agreement is the mortgage or the lien that the mortgage company actually would put in your house to make sure that they're going to secure their money. So we ended up having sale agreement and a loan agreement and a mortgage agreement. We do not have any issue with the sale agreement. وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ. We do have a loan agreement. You borrow $500,000 in our example, and you pay it back $800,000. The mortgage company actually does not introduce itself as a co-owner or as a partner. They are just a lender. They lend you the money. They take no risk whatsoever. They are not responsible for anything other than the fact that you commit to paying them back the $500,000 in our example, plus $300,000 interest within the next 30 years. And the third agreement is the mortgage one. Mortgage one means that someone borrows money from someone else. He does not know him very well. He wants to secure his money, make sure that the money will be paid back. So he asks for a mortgage, right? With all due respect, I do not know my brother here. He wants $100 from me. I do not mind giving him $100 loan. But okay, because I do not know you, give me your phone until you pay me back the $100. Okay, that technical term is called mortgage. We do not have any issue with the mortgage with this definition. وإن كنتم على سفر ولم تجدوا كاتبا فرهان مقبولة. So we do not have any issue with the sale agreement. We do not have any issue with the mortgage agreement, but we do have an issue with the loan agreement, right? Because this is the straightforward interest-bearing loan. You are borrowing money with interest, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who prohibited riba by saying, وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَا. Can we be so democratic in this society and say, okay, we have three different agreements, two of them are halal, and one of them is haram. So let's go with the majority. Mortgaging house is the halal. It doesn't go this way. It goes the other way around. If one component of this agreement is prohibited, that would be more than enough, to ruin the whole agreement and make it an impermissible one. So this is the very first component, which is mortgage. Now, as you have noticed here, the main issue we have is with the interest-bearing loan. In a very technical term, they call this kind of finance or risk shifting model. Risk shifting model in a sense that the lender does not take any responsibility, any risk, any liability whatsoever. Okay? He just relaxes, right, and gives you the money. Take full advantage if you need. You get, excuse me, or you get exploited because you do not have enough money to pay for your house, and you take the full responsibility. If something happened to the house, if the insurance did not cover for a reason or another, you are the responsible party. If you take a loan from Bank of America for business purposes, for investment purposes, the bank does not care about you. You make a profit, you incur loss, you break even, you lose your principal. They do not care. You have to commit to paying them the principal plus interest. That's called the risk shifting, which means that the lender is shifting, putting all the liability on the shoulder of whom? Of the borrower. In the Islamic finance system, we do not believe in the risk shifting. We believe in something else that's called risk sharing. This is a very fundamental difference between the Islamic finance and the non-Islamic finance. What does risk shifting mean? It means that loan is not a mode of finance to start with. If you just walk to any genuine, sound, and I want you to remember those terms, genuine and sound and authentic Islamic banking practice, you want to take a loan to buy your house, they would say, sorry, we do not give you $500,000, because in the Islamic finance system, loan is given as a kind of charity, a kind of benevolence. Someone is in desperate need for $2,000 to pay the rent for his house, to do a surgery for his son, to pay the tuition fees. He wants that money for just a few weeks or a few months, and willing to pay you back. You give him that money, but you do not give him the money for investment purposes, because we practicing Muslims do not charge interest. So if I give you $500,000, okay, and I know that you will be making a business or you will be upgrading your business, you take my $500,000 for a few years, you make 5, 10, 15, 20% profit, and then after 3 years you come back to me with $500,000 with a big hug, Jazakallah khair, my brother. I mean, this is a bad business, right? Why should I give you? You like the joke, right? Why should I give you $500,000? You take my money, you make a profit out of using my money, and you give me the money back with zero interest. It makes no sense, right? In the Islamic finance system, we believe in the risk sharing, which means that we have to establish a kind of partnership between the Islamic bank or the Islamic mortgage company and the partner, okay, or the one who wants to finance his house. The ideal mode of finance, the best one, is the musharaka. Musharaka means partnership. Musharaka means you have only 5% to put as a down payment. That's expected. I mean, you are not a bank, right? I'm the bank here. So you pay 5% and I pay 95%. Okay, and we jointly buy the property as partners. Remember that I'm talking about a genuine and sound and authentic Islamic finance practice. Why I'm repeating myself? Because the vast majority, unfortunately, of the so-called Islamic finance practices nowadays are not that authentic, are not that even Sharia compliant one to start with, as I will be explaining. Based on that, since we are partners, it means that any appreciation in the market value of the house will be divided between us. I will be benefiting, you will be benefiting 5%, I, as an Islamic bank, will be benefiting 95%. Any depreciation will be the same. You incur 5%, I incur 95%. When it comes to the major expenses, namely tax, insurance, and maintenance, we have to share that expense because simply we are partners. If the Islamic mortgage company does not share the expenses, the major expenses, maintenance, tax, and insurance, then the partnership actually is not genuine. I mean, we are just tricking the Islamic finance or just circumventing the Islamic finance law and just take a like a way around it, and we call it Islamic finance. It makes no sense whatsoever. So that is the Islamic one. Islamic one actually is to make sure that the two parties, the Islamic mortgage company and the partner, right, or the customer or the client, is taken responsibility proportionally based on the actual percentage of ownership that each one of them, assumes upon the establishment of that partnership. How does it work, by the way? You are the only one who will be occupying the property. They call it usufruct, حق الانتفاع, or sukna, right? In habitation, that you are the one who is living there. You own only 5%. Based on what? I mean, you utilize the 95% that the mortgage company owns based on a lease agreement. Lease agreement. I mean, you rent that portion of the house from the mortgage company. Meanwhile, if you stay like this, you're going to stay forever without increasing your equity, right? So we need to come up with a solution where you start buying the equity or the shares of the mortgage company. So if the fair rental value of the house is $2,000, you're supposed to pay $2,500. $500 would go toward the equity. $2,000 would go toward the lease. Is that correct? So after 1 or 2 months, you become 6% owner, and they become 94% owner, and then you 7%, 93, 8%, all the way until the end of the 30 years, you become 99% owner, and the mortgage company becomes only 1% owner. Upon the last payment you make, you kick them out of the deal, and you become 100% owner of the house. That's why they call it diminishing partnership. مشاركة متناقصة منتهية بالتمليك. For some reason, in the middle of the agreement, you wanted to quit. That's absolutely up to you. عقود المشاركة من العقود الجائزة. No one can compel or enforce you to continue with this partnership if you are not willing to, right? Whenever the partnership agreement is terminated, you just put the house in the market and find out how much it's worth in the market. And based on the actual net amount that you and the mortgage company receive, we find out you own only 74% of the house, and they own 29 or whatever, right? You just divide that price that you receive between you proportionally. If there is any liability, any responsibility, any deficit, any depreciation, you name it, the insurance company did not cover for some reason, you share that loss proportionally based on the actual percentage of ownership, equity, or interest, sometimes we call it, in that property. This is actually the ideal situation. There are some other, of course, Islamic modes of finance. One of them, I would say, is fair enough, which is the lease to own. Lease to own means that you do not establish any partnership with the mortgage company. You just rent the house, right? You have zero equity, and you continue having zero equity because it is lease to own. Okay, it's a very simple concept. Okay, I tell you, if you commit to renting my house for 30 consecutive years, okay, and you pay on time, I'm willing to give you that house as a gift, or I'm willing to sell it for you for $1 toward the end of the lease term or lease agreement, right? During that 30 years term agreement, I have to be fully responsible for the well-being of the house, and that's why I'm taking the rent from you. I have to make sure that the house is habitable, قابل للسكنة. If there is anything major, let's say, for example, air conditioning, ceiling, foundational issue, I have to take care of it. When it comes to wear and tear, like a faucet or carpet or something, I mean, you take care of it because you are the one who is, living in the house. but I have to make sure that I'm the owner. I'm fully liable and responsible, for the well-being of the house, making it habitable for you throughout the whole lease agreement. Because of the liability I'm taking, I deserve the rent that I take from you. That is the nature of Islamic finance. So far, we covered, of course, there are some other like modes of finance. For example, if you want to build a house, we have some maybe physicians here. You want to build your own practice, right? The musharaka one does not work because there is no poverty to do musharaka or to partner with others. There is something else called aqdul istisna, manufacturing agreement, right? The house is already there, and you want to go with an easy way to finance without involving in a long-term partnership. So there is no ijara, there is no partnership. You can go with the murabaha one. Murabaha means price plus, I think they call it, or they translate it to English, which means that you ask the bank to buy that house. So they buy the house, they become the owner of the house. They buy it spot sale because they do have the financial ability or the luxury of paying $500,000, and then they resell that property back to you for whatever amount that you agree upon. In every and each mode of finance, we have to make sure that a certain amount of liability is proven to be taken by the financier, by any way, by any chance. If we just manipulate the terms, play around, right, go around the system, and come up with a contract where the mortgage company is not taking any liability whatsoever, any liability, that agreement is an interest-bearing one, even if it is called otherwise. Because in the Islamic finance system, there is a well-established فقه maxim, قاعدة فقهية. العبرة في العقود للمقاصد والمعاني لا للألفاظ والمباني. What matters in transactions is the essence and reality, not the wording or the formality. Right? If you call this a bottle like a bottle of whiskey or beer, it does not become haram because actually it is what, right? And vice versa. If the interest is called musharaka or murabaha, it is not. Well, even if the murabaha or the musharaka is called interest, it is not. You can call it whatever you want. What we care about is the essence and the reality. And the essence here is that we have to make sure that the financier or the bank or the mortgage, even if it is Chase, even if it is Bank of America, we don't care about those names, Islamic mortgage. Well, we have to pay attention to the nature, to the essence of the agreement itself. Even if Bank of America tomorrow morning is willing to get involved in a partnership with me, based on the definition of partnership that I already explained, I can mortgage my house with Bank of America. I don't care. So far, we covered two different components: mortgage and Islamic. Is that correct? Moving on. Islamic mortgage companies in the US. We have 5 major companies here in the USA. We have Guidance Residential, who does have a mode of finance called diminishing partnership or declining partnership. And we have University Islamic Financial, who has a murabaha mode of finance, who has an ijara mode of finance, and recently they added diminishing partnership. And we have Devon Bank in Chicago, Illinois, who does have murabaha, right? Cost plus they call it, ijara, lease to own, and partnership as well, diminishing partnership. And we have ijara loan. Ijara loan, their mode of finance is called lease to own, and I will explain inshallah, lease to own. And the 5th one is called La Riba. La Riba, they go with the mode of finance called بيع العين واستثناء المنفعة, which is the declining participation in usufruct. Declining participation in usufruct. Of course, we have a lot of small size community-based mortgage companies, Islamic mortgage companies scattered all over the country, but they are not well known, they are not recognized because they do not serve the Muslim community in the United States. They serve very small, like communities, local communities. For example, in California, we have اللهم صل على شفيع المذنبين وحبيب رب العالمين. I will remember it, inshallah. But this company actually is a very small one, and it does, offer maybe between 30 to 40 homes a year. That's it. I mean, this is their capacity. They cannot serve the Muslim community nationwide. So when we say Islamic mortgage companies in the USA, we refer to Guidance Residential, University Islamic Financial, Devon Bank, Ijara Loan, and Lariba. To my knowledge, those are the major 5 different companies who operate almost nationwide. Yeah, it's called Amin Housing. Amin Housing. This is the one in California. The fourth and the final component is in the USA. In the USA, actually, the mortgage industry is highly regulated industry. You cannot get involved in the system and operate officially, okay, being like a part of the mortgage system mosaic in the USA by coming up with your own contract, and you set all the terms and the conditions and the clauses that you want. Okay, if you do so, you are out. You are by your own. In the USA, in addition to the fact that the mortgage industry is highly regulated one, there is something called secondary market. Secondary market means those retail and community banks do not have the luxury, do not have the liquidity or the financial ability to wait for you for 30 consecutive years, paying them $2,000, $3,000 a month. Wallahu alam, sometimes you pay and sometimes you do not pay. It doesn't go this way. They cannot, they do not have the patience, they do not have the liquidity and the luxury of waiting for you. Okay? They once you sign an agreement with them, once you mortgage your house, next day in the morning they turn their face and they go to the semi-governmental agencies called Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae have been established by the federal government or a semi-federal government to serve or to help people in the United States mortgaging their homes. Those are the big shots. Those are the big guys who can wait for 30, for 50, for even 100 years. How does the system work? You sign an agreement. Let me repeat the same example. $500,000 principal, $300,000 interest. So that contract that you sign worth how much? $800,000. And this is a loan, right? They sell that loan to Freddie Mac for $780,000. So they discount $20,000, حطوهم بالجيبة, and they give you the rest as a cash, right? Cash to you, and you just move on with the next customer, and they just wait for you to pay off the $800,000. They make money by just buying those contracts, right? Buying those contracts discounted with a discounted price, give you the cash money in order for you to have enough liquidity to go to the following customer or the following victim, if you wish. This is actually their job. They do not do anything more than just giving you or like buying the contract and giving you discounted price. In order for your contract to be sellable to Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, you have to comply with the requirements. Well, Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae are a part of the finance system in the USA. Welcome to the capitalist economic system, right? As the brother who made the introduction said, riba is a built-in component. It's an intrinsic component in the system. There is no loan given with free interest. Wallahi, sometimes even you take a interest-free loan from your employer, believe it or not, the employer actually is the one who is paying the interest on your behalf. So they have to indulge or involve riba some way, they cannot even function. They cannot even imagine that someone is giving a loan with no interest. The interest, has to be there. Back to our discussion. Once you comply with the requirements of Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, you are more than welcome to sell your contract to them. In order for your contract to be sellable, okay, to be sellable to Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, it has to be risk-free. Let's go all the way back to the risk-shifting model. They have to make sure that this is a straightforward interest-bearing loan. No liability, no collateral, no responsibility, nothing whatsoever. Someone borrowed from you $500,000 and he or she is willing to pay it back to you $800,000. If that is proven, ahlan wa sahlan. If it is not, you are by your own. You can just operate it the way that you want, but you are not a part of the system, exactly like Amin Housing in California. They do not deal in the secondary market. That's why they have their own independence. Those 5 major companies. Okay, one more time, I want you to remember them: Guidance Residential, University Islamic Financial, Devon Bank, Ijara Loan, and Lariba. All of them deal in the secondary market. So now, what kind of hint or impression you get up to this point of this presentation when I tell you that Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae require that the contract has to be an interest-bearing one, free of any liability, and those companies, those so-called Islamic mortgage companies, they deal with the secondary market. They sell their products or their contracts to Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. What does it mean for you? Thank you. Case, here you go. Case dismissed, right? So, so let's go home, right? It's over. Right. There is a severe incompatibility between the two different systems. You cannot. I mean, common sense. You cannot have a risk shifting contract and risk sharing contract at the same time. It's either or, right? So the challenge that those Islamic mortgage companies are facing in the USA is how to come up with a model, a contract, sometimes they call it a product, right? A product or a contract that is up to certain limit, a Sharia compliant one. Meanwhile, it is a Freddie Mac compliant one. Is it possible to have a Freddie Mac compliant 100% and a Sharia compliant 100%? There is no way. There is absolutely no. I mean, common sense, right? There is a severe incompatibility between the two different systems. So you have to compromise. طوعاً أو كرها. By choice, by force, you have to compromise, right? Otherwise, you are by your own. I mean, you can establish your own Islamic mortgage company independently, like Amin Housing, but again, you are out of the system. You can operate the way that you want, but you cannot sell your products or your contracts to Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. Having said that, I think the overall picture is now clear, that we reached to a conclusion that there is a clear discrepancy between the Islamic finance and the non-Islamic finance. And those Islamic mortgage companies are operating in a non-Islamic system, and they are able to convince Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae that, okay, our contracts are Freddie Mac compliant. That's why here you go. Here is the contract, $800,000. Give me only 780, and I'm good with that, right? So far we covered Islamic mortgage companies in the US, right? What else we need to discuss here? We need to go back to those companies and find out their level of Sharia compliance. In order for you to, come up with a decision, a professional opinion or fatwa, if you wish, regarding the status of those companies, you have no choice but to read the whole contract from A to Z. Okay? And those contracts are very sophisticated. You are talking about 80, 90, 100 plus pages that you need to read. You need to take the pain of reading them word by word, sentence by sentence. With the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I was one of those researchers who took the responsibility of reading all those contracts word by word, sentence by sentence. And I brought someone with a finance background to sit with me. I paid him from out of pocket to sit with me and to read those contracts with me to make sure that my understanding, okay, of the legal terms is correct and accurate. Our Fiqh Council, the Assembly of Muslim Jews of America, AMJA, Majma' Fuqaha al-Sharia fi America. Have you heard about AMJA before? AMJA, the Assembly of Muslim Jews of America. We usually hold a imams training session or convention every year. One of those years back in 2014 was about Islamic mortgage companies in the USA. Of course, I was not the only one who submitted papers regarding the status of those companies. There were like some other researchers. We did study all those contracts. We did actually invite the people in charge, like the top executives and the Sharia board, if they have, to AMJA conference, and we gave them the floor, the opportunity of presenting their model and talking about their model and why they believe it is a Sharia compliant one. With this long introduction and very boring introduction, here is the result. It is not, well, let me put it in a different way. Those Islamic mortgage companies are not in the same level of diligence and dedication to come up with a model that is up to certain limit, a Sharia compliant one. Meanwhile, it is a Freddie Mac compliant one. They are not in the same level. Some of them are very like diligent and dedicated, serious. Believe it or not, they paid millions of dollars, according to them, millions of dollars to consult with high caliber, fuqaha, okay, like from the caliber of Mufti Taqi Uthmani, Justice Taqi Uthmani, Hafidullah, in Pakistan, a well-known Hanafi, scholar, and with different law firms in the USA to come up with a model that is up to certain limit, out, as I call it, like halal enough model, right? So based on our research, our conclusion, and that's something, by the way, posted on our website. I mean, I'm not like saying a secret here. Just Google AMJA, 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 Islamic mortgage companies. Just Google it, and you will find a link written in both in Arabic and English with all the details that you could ever, think of. The conclusion is the following. We found out that the model that Guidance Residential, and again, Guidance Residential has nothing to do with Guidance College that I'm representing here today. Completely two different. I'm not a double agent. I work for Guidance, College, not Guidance Residential. However, we found out that the model of Guidance Residential is up to certain limit acceptable enough. And I need to elaborate why. Number one, Guidance Residential does not operate as a bank or as a mortgage company in the USA. They do operate as an investment company. And based on this very simple fact, they do have the right to own properties. So the ownership, which is the very fundamental difference between the Islamic and non-Islamic one, because ownership involves what? Liability, responsibility, right? They do have the right to own the property. And this is exactly what they do. They establish what's called an LLC, Limited Liability Corporation. And that's why if you are a customer of Guidance Residential, you will see $18 every single month that you have to pay. Okay, you are shaking your head. Apparently, you are one of the victims of Guidance Residential, right? There you go. So they establish an LLC, and that LLC is owned by Guidance Residential, right? That LLC actually is your partner in owning the house. So the legal ownership is proven, bottom line. Okay? And they continue with that ownership all the way until the end of the agreement. So this is a very fundamental difference, between Islamic and non-Islamic one. So far, so good. The problem here is that they do not commit themselves. To paying the expenses of the house, namely insurance, property tax, and maintenance. And they say, well, you are the one who is living in the house. The house is yours. We are partners in financing the house for you. But that's your responsibility. Tax property is paid, by the one who lives there because you benefit from the tax money, right? Schools and 911 service and parks and public schools and so on and so forth. When it comes to insurance, we are willing, if you want, to buy insurance, but it's going to be very, very expensive. And when you, as a customer, hear the word very, very expensive, you just step back and change your mind, right? If you buy an insurance as an individual, it's going to be like way less. So if you want us as a commercial company to buy insurance for you, we are willing, but it's going to be, double or even triple. So you say, well, you know what? I will take care of no problem. I will take care of the insurance. When it comes to maintenance, they say the same. You are the one who lives there. You take care of your own. You take care of your own property. So this is actually one of the what we call it the glitches in the contract. Now, having that deficiency or a glitch in the contract does not ruin the whole agreement and making it an interest-bearing loan. It is not. Again and again, over and over, the legal partnership actually is proven. Again, remember that this company operates as an investment company, not as a mortgage company in the USA. This is not the end of the story. They do guarantee their principal, which is another like big concern here. Okay, guarantee their principals. If they financed $500,000 and you decided after 5 years to change your mind and just terminate that agreement, they would say, well, that's absolutely up to you. Let's go ahead and just put the house in the market and sell it. you have to pay us back the $500,000. Okay, if the price goes up or goes down, we do not care, right? The profit is yours, and the loss has to be incurred by you. We secure, we guarantee our principal. In the ideal situation, they are not supposed to do so. They cannot, do so. I mean, where is the partnership? We just said that they have to take the responsibility accordingly or proportionally based on their, like, percentage of ownership. They said, oh no, hold a second. There are two different kinds of partnership in the Islamic finance system. There is sharikatul milk and sharikatul aqd. Sharikatul aqd means the contractual partnership. Sharikatul milk is the acquisition partnership. Okay? They said, well, we built our model based on sharikatul milk. So this is not a contractual partnership. This is an acquisition partnership. And based on the acquisition partnership, any of the partners does have the right to secure or to guarantee his or her principal. Although this is true, but the problem here is that their model does not show acquisition. Their model does not show acquisition partnership. I mean, it is a straightforward contractual partnership. They want to make money. They establish that partnership upon your request to finance a house. So there is no way, okay, to consider this agreement as a kind of acquisition partnership. Who is the one who came up with this idea that this partnership is an acquisition partnership but not contractual partnership? That's Justice Taqi Uthman. AMJA for years and years, like I would say almost one decade before 2014, we were of the impression that this model does not work. I mean, it's not a genuine partnership, right? And until today, we do not believe that this partnership is an acquisition partnership. It is a contractual partnership. However, the one who says no, this is an acquisition partnership might have some logic behind it. So we ended up having how many glitches we have in the agreement. Two. Number one is the expenses. They do not pay the expenses accordingly. And number two, they secure or they guarantee their principal. Those two different major glitches actually or deficiencies are against the concept of partnership. Yet we do not dare saying that there is no partnership because the partnership actually is there. Now, what is positive here is that even in the agreement itself, in three different cases, they do not guarantee their principal, which is like a very good sign. Number one, uh, natural disaster, something happened and the insurance did not cover. They do incur their share of loss. Natural disaster, eminent domain, like when the property is taken by the authority, by the city or the state, and foreclosure. Three different cases. Okay. They might happen like once every century, right? But they are actually in the contract that in case of natural disaster, in case of foreclosure, in case of eminent domain, we do actually incur loss because of number one, the legal ownership is proven through the LLC, and number two, they do incur loss theoretically on papers whenever any of those three different scenarios happen. We ended up with a conclusion that this company is reasonable enough for those who want to, finance a house. So when it comes to Sharia compliance, what I want to emphasize here, brothers and sisters, is that it's not like white or black, right? It's not haram, okay? Haram like indefinite, like explicit haram versus 100% halal. It does not go this way in the real life, right? Always there is a gray area. We in our fiqh council in AMJA, uh, I might be biased because I'm a member in the Fatwa committee, but I do believe that we are realistic and reasonable enough. Because the other option actually is to go with the mortgage. Which one is less harmful? To go with the semi-Sharia compliant one, or to go with an explicit haram one? Of course, I mean going with something that's halal enough is way better than going with the haram one. Based on something is better than nothing. Back in Jordan, we say Ramad. في حد أردن يا جماعة؟ الرمد ولا العمل. But this is when it comes to uh, guidance residential. Now the second one is University Islamic Financial, and I will go like brief inshallah fast. They do have murabaha, they do have ijara, and they do have musharaka, right? We do have like a big question mark and concern about the way that they practice their murabaha, right? It does happen sometimes that they do not assume an ownership, full ownership, before reselling the house, because in order for the murabaha to be a Sharia compliant one, you have to make sure that the mortgage company is buying the house, right? So there is no loan involved here. They buy the house and they sell the house for you. We're talking about two different transactions. They have to assume the liability and the responsibility by becoming the landlord. They buy it spot sale and sell it back to you credit sale. Okay. If that transaction, the first one, is not proven, and the UIF is paying the check on your behalf to the landlord directly, they are just circumventing, going around the system, then this is not a murabaha, even if you call it murabaha, right? Remember, العبرة في العقود للمقاصد والمعاني لا للألفاظ والمباني. So the biggest concern that we have here is to prove the ownership. Okay, they cannot prove a genuine and sound and long term, not even like one day ownership, because they have to sell the contract to Freddie Mac and Freddie Mae. And Freddie Mac actually is watching them 24/7. If they just smell any kind of liability, responsibility, risk that they are taking, they would say, well, you are by your own. So their murabaha actually is not a genuine one. Their ijara is the same. Okay, in the contract, they assume that you are buying and renting the house simultaneously, which is Islamic finance-wise does not make any sense. You are either a buyer and you have certain privileges and certain duties and responsibilities, or otherwise you are a tenant and you have certain rights and certain responsibilities. You cannot wear two different hats at the same time. You say, well, you are renting because you are buying, or you are buying because you are. I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever. With all due respect. So we have like a big concern on the murabaha and on the ijara one. Recently, they added musharaka one, and they came up with the idea of not to list their name as an owner. They say, okay, there is something called al-wakalatu sirriya. Wow, wakala sirriya, which means like a secret proxy or power of attorney. We authorize you as our customer, right, to go ahead, okay, on our behalf and to buy the house and to put it under your name directly. We do not want our name to be appeared in the papers for liability purposes, for your protection, for tax deduction, for whatever reason. We do not want our name to be there whatsoever. Okay, we are not practicing mortgage. We are giving you a power of attorney, a proxy, wakala. You are our wakil. Okay, our wakil. You just go ahead on behalf of UIF. You go ahead and just put the house under your name. Well, this is absolutely a straightforward violation of the rules of musharaka. If it is not proven that the bank or the Islamic mortgage company is owning the house, then whatever you do after that actually does not make any sense. So their musharaka for fact, if that is proven, which is the case, their musharaka actually is an invalid one. According to AMJA, our fiqh council, that in case of dire need, like someone is really desperate to buy a house, is not approved by a guidance residential, right? Then you can go with the UIF. Does guidance residential operate in the state of Massachusetts here? Are they? Okay. The third one is Devon Bank. It's just a copy and paste. I mean, nothing different. Or whatever we said about UIF could be applied to Devon Bank. I'm not sure if they added musharaka, a partnership, or not. I'm not sure. If they did already, and they do not hold the title as an owner, adding their name either by themselves or by like through creating an LLC, then their musharaka actually is not valid. And the same, we said that in case of dire need, people can mortgage their homes with the one bank. The fourth one is the ijara loan. Ijara loan actually is not a lender, it's not a mortgage company to start with. It's a broker. They do not have money. Tell you, okay, you want like a very strict Islamic finance, and you say yes. It's okay. You go to any bank that you want, any bank, Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, you name it. Apply for a loan, conventional loan. Get your loan approved, and come to us, and we'll use our own magic in just creating what's called a trust. Trust actually is a legal entity, right? A trust, and we take that money, we establish a lease to own agreement. Our observation as AMJA is number one, you commit riba independently by yourself. You go to the bank and you apply for a loan. ذلك ما كنت منه تحيد. I mean, the whole issue is to stay away from riba. When you go, I mean, when you walk to Chase and you apply for a loan and you get your loan approved, then it defeats the purpose of even speaking about Islamic finance. This is number one. And number two, based on what? Based on what agreement? That trust that you become a part of, they create a trust, and each trust actually does have trustees. Is that correct? So they add you and they add Ijara loan as the trustees of the house, and that trust goes and borrows the money based on interest-bearing loan from the bank. So instead of committing riba once, you commit riba twice, right? That's why, according to AMJA declaration, I mean, this agreement is a non-Sharia compliant one, period, right? Even if they comply to like paying insurance and tax, I mean, the damage is already there, right? You agreed to borrow money with interest, and you did borrow money with interest through the trust. You take that money. Whatever you create after that, LLC, Ijara, Musharaka, Murabaha, call it whatever you want, the damage is already there, and the interest-bearing loan has been taken already. The last one is La Riba. They used to claim in the past, I would say maybe 15 years ago, that they go with the diminishing partnership. And then they changed their mind. They said, no, we go with a different model called declining participation in usufruct. Okay? بيع العين واستثناء المنفعة. Now, this mode of finance, to start with, if it is applied accordingly, is a very debatable one. We have two different madhahib out of four saying that this mode of finance is acceptable, and the other two are saying no, they are not acceptable. This is to start with. And number two, the way that they apply it is a very suspicious way. Again, they use what is called al-wakalatu sirriya, right? That they give like a secret or a confidential power of attorney to their client, asking him to buy the property and put it under his name direct in order for their name not to be mentioned. Whatever cosmetic surgeries that you do, it does not actually make any difference. The damage is already there, and unanimously, like the 7 different members we have when we read the contract, we are unanimously in agreement that this agreement is not a Sharia compliant one. And according to the official position of AMJA, La Riba actually is not a Sharia compliant one. And I call it always, it is the actual real riba, although it is called La Riba. So this is actually very, very briefly what I have about Islamic mortgage companies. Of course, I mean, what I presented here is just a very small component of one of the courses that we teach at Guidance College and the Masters in Islamic Finance. However, what I presented, I think, is good enough at least to open our appetite, to read more about Islamic finance and to dig in depth, reading the contracts of those different Islamic mortgage companies. Let me just stop recording here and open the floor for a question and answer, and maybe I can give you like a very quick commercial break if you don't mind. جزاك الله. حاضر حد ان شاء الله أوجد ان شاء الله. طب الجماعة الأونلاين excuse me, I have to finish the presentation. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. مش لكم السلام عليكم الجماعة الأونلاين. أحشرهم. يا رب بالمصطفى بلغ مقاصدنا واغفر لنا طيب حاضر. طيب خلي بس اخذ نفس. لا مش نفس اللي بالك نفس ميه. طيب can I do a very quick commercial break if you don't mind? Uh, I'm here in this visit to represent Guidance College, which is an Islamic university. Alhamdulillah, we have been operating for the last 10 years. We used to have like a hybrid program prior to COVID-19. We used to have classes for Houstonian students, and then after COVID-19, we just shifted to purely online teaching model. We have three different programs only. We have bachelor's degree in Islamic studies, of course, custom designed, to fit the need of Muslims in the USA. With all due respect, we do not copy and paste from different Islamic universities. We came up with our own program that fits the need of the Muslim community here. It's a very good program and simple, fits perfectly fine for the second and third generation of our kids who do not speak, the language of their parents, whether Arabic or other language. I mean, their language is only English. It fits perfectly fine for the new reverts. And alhamdulillah, we have a good number of our students who are new Muslim reverts brothers and sisters who, alhamdulillah, found out that Guidance College is the right place for them to seek knowledge and to pursue degrees in Islamic studies. And we have masters in Islamic finance. Again, what I presented tonight is just like an appetizer of the topic, or the whatever we teach in Guidance College. And we have masters in Islamic education to make sure that we help improving the or enhance the knowledge and the practice of our teachers who have teaching positions in different Islamic schools. It's really unfortunate to know that a good percentage of our respected brothers and sisters who teach Islamic studies, Quran, and Arabic as second language in different Islamic schools do not have enough academic qualification and certification to teach. So this is not their deficiency. This is a shortcoming and a challenge that we as a Muslim community face. I mean, at the end of the day, we have to find someone to teach our kids. And we always look for the most qualified one. Our job at Guidance College is to bring those teachers and to train them and to enhance them with the necessary knowledge for them, with the masters in Islamic education, to make sure that their performance actually is up to the challenge. 3 years ago, because alhamdulillah we have been like expanding and growing tremendously, our board of trustees decided to move on from that small rental office in one of the masajid in Houston, Texas, to establish our own Islamic center. They said, okay, let's revive the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and establish a masjid. We want to build a masjid, like full functional masjid, okay, and Islamic university, and even Islamic school as well. So alhamdulillah, we purchased 18 acres of land, interest free. I swear to God, I mean, there is no interest. It's an owner finance one. We paid alhamdulillah down payment and have 10 years payment plan. We have our master plan to build the masjid, and as I said, the second floor inshallah will be the main office of Guidance College and not Guidance Residential. There will be an Islamic school, K-12, full-time Islamic school, gymnasium for the kids, healthcare clinic for the community at large, especially for those like uninsured individuals, Muslims and non-Muslims as well. So you are talking about like millions of dollars cost for this program. My appeal to the community is, number one, and I really mean what I say, that we direly need your dua, because alhamdulillah we are doing this job on behalf of the Muslim community, and you cannot imagine how much we feel happy and glad when we see those new converts coming to Guidance College to learn their deen. So we are like doing this job on behalf of the Muslim community. We need your dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would give us inshallah more success. We are working diligently in getting our accreditation in the USA. We are not accredited yet, but inshallah we are that close to be accredited. So far we have Zaytuna College in California, the only accredited school, headed by Sheikh Hamza Yusuf, Jazakallah khairan. And inshallah we will be the second school, the second college that is fully accredited in the USA. It is important to be accredited, to be a part of the education system mosaic in the US. So those who want to learn more about Islam, they would come to the right resource and learn under the right people and get the right information about Islam and not otherwise. And you know very well what I'm referring to. Those who go to traditional, conventional American university and learn what's called Islamic studies under non-Muslim professors, and what kind of knowledge they get, the answer very well. Number two, I would love to see brothers and sisters joining Guidance College. Give it a chance. Break the ice. Go to our website. Go to guidancecollege.org. Guidancecollege.org. Read more about the programs. If you can become a degree student, that would be wonderful. Bachelor's degree in Sharia or master's in Islamic finance if you're interested, or Islamic education if you are involved in Islamic education. If not, then the least you can do is to be a non-degree student. You can just pick and choose the class that you want. You don't have to go with the minimum number of credit hours. You can just pick and choose whatever course or courses you're interested in. You want to learn more about Islamic inheritance law or Muslim family law, for example, or Islamic finance or Islamic transaction or Aqidah or Tafsir or Sirah or Hadith. Just go ahead and take those classes. And Alhamdulillah, we are growing. The number of students, Alhamdulillah, is increasing. Number three, we need your financial support. We need your donation and your sadaqah direly. This is actually a huge project. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends our life after just a few years, you will see the fruit of your donation. Of course, Guidance College is an eligible zakat recipient. You can definitely pay zakat al-mal and the category for fuqara and al-masakin, to sponsor a student. Believe it or not, wallahi, some of those new converts do not have few hundreds of dollars to pay for the tuition fees because they have been stranded and abandoned by their family members, by their parents and family members, only because of becoming Muslims. And Alhamdulillah, with the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we did not in the past, we do not in the present, and inshallah we will not in the future turn down any application for admission because that student cannot afford paying the tuition fees. It's not our job. Our mission actually is to deliver the knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala entrusted us with, and not to charge them money. Of course, we do charge money for those who can afford it, but it's not a prerequisite. If you can, and if you cannot, then just move on. Come, join us, learn, and do not worry about money. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it easy for us. So we are eligible zakat recipient under al-fuqara or masaki, under fi sabilillah. You can definitely pay for guidance residential guidance. Sorry, look at that. That's the problem. And of course, Guidance College is a 501c3 non-for-profit organization. Those are the pledge forms. I wish one of our youth can help us distributing those pledge forms. Okay. And by youth, I mean like under 20 years old. Why is it important? Right. Just I want you to pay attention to this. This is a detachable brochure. You see, you can just detach it like this. This is for you to read more about Guidance College, right? Different programs that we have, and this is the pledge form. It is a business reply mail, and it's sticky from here. I mean, you can just fill out the information. Okay, you have one-time payment. If you want your money to go to the scholarship, you just check the scholarship. If you want it to go to the construction, just check the endowment. You have endowment for the construction, for building the masjid and the school, and paying for the land and so on and so forth. Scholarship means that your money will go to the scholarship and financial aid of the students. I did a fundraising yesterday in the other masjid, and subhanallah, the outcome result was not that promising. It was extremely cold and rainy and snowing yesterday. So the weather is like nice comparison tonight, nice comparison to yesterday. I wish the collection, inshallah, will be a nice comparison to yesterday as well. Do you think briefly, I'm not a fundraiser, so please excuse me, I'm not that professional fundraiser, but do you think that based on what I presented, do you think that this is a good project that deserve our financial support? Do you think that this is a noble cause that we stand for, that does deserve your support? Do you mind if you raise your hand and say how much amount you want to pledge, just to encourage other brothers and sisters to donate? Do you think that few of us here, inshallah, can commit to $5,000 from their zakah, their donation, their sadaqah, on behalf of themselves, on behalf of someone who passed away? Month of Ramadan is coming soon. You can definitely prepay your zakah, $5,000. Anyone can. Jazakallah khair. Did you pass them to the sisters or not? Sisters or? Jazakallah khair. Any hero, any pioneer tonight who say, inshallah, I will make it happen. I will break those $5,000 into $100 a month or 250, whatever, and I will make it happen. I believe in the mission of Jazakallah khairan kathiran. Barakallahu laka fi ahlika ajma'in. What's your name, akhi? الله يكرمك ويجزيك الخير الله يوسع عليك الدنيا والآخرة اللهم أعط منفقا خلفا اللهم أعط منفقا خلفا اللهم أعط منفقا خلفا. This is Walid, the son of Abu Walid. بارك الله بأبو وليد ووليد. الله يكرمك ويجزيك الله يجزيك الخير الله يوسع عليك بارك الله فيك. نعم المال الصالح للرجل الصالح. الله يجعلك إن شاء الله منهم. بارك فيك ووالديك إن شاء الله. Who can match Walid with another 5,000? Who can match Walid with 5,000? Again, I mean, it doesn't have to be like one-time payment. You can just break it down to whatever you can afford, even within the next like year or two or three, $100, 250. Any match, any pioneer, any Walid here other than Walid, any Walid other than Walid. Right. Maybe we can see maybe two hands with 2,500. Do you think that is doable? Remember that Ramadan is approaching, is coming soon. So instead of waiting for the month of Ramadan, maybe you can just prepay your zakah. Abu Walid, mashallah, donated generously yesterday. So Jazakallah khair, Walid, you are just following the footsteps of your dad. Barakallahu feek wa fi abik. Allah yakram fi zikum khair. Right, 2,500 briefly. I want to open the floor for question and answer. I know that you have a lot of questions here. Right. Okay, if you are whistling, then you have to pay 2,500. Who was whistling? Penalty. Right. Yeah. Sisters, any support from your end, from your side? Do you believe in the mission of Guidance College? Do you like Islamic finance? Do you want to move on, inshallah, with this university and see it, fully accredited, servicing thousands of like new Muslims and second and third generation, inshallah? 2,500. Right. No 2,500. That's fine. I will go all the way down to 1,000. How about that? This is a very, very affordable amount. And I wish, I pray, I hope, inshallah, that we can see 10, 15 different hands with only 1,000. I will start from my right side here. $1,000. 1,000 for the construction if you want, for the scholarship, for the financial aid, whatever you want. It's your money. It's your call. I like your smile, but I want with the smile like a hand with 1,000, $1,000. Who will be the first one with 1,000, inshallah? 1,000. Jazakallah khairan kathir, young man. Barakallahu laka fi ahlika wa fi malik. What's your name, akhi? محمد. الله يجزيك الخير يا محمد. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى اله وصحبه. جزاك الله خير يا محمد. الله يكرمك ويبارك فيك. الله يوسع عليك ان شاء الله الدنيا والاخره. Who will be matching Muhammad inshallah with 1,000? Only 1,000. 10 payments with $100 a month. Yeah, the sister all the way. الله يجزيك الخير يا بابا. الله يكرمك. الله يبارك فيك ويوسع عليك ان شاء الله. Do you want to say your name? مرح. ما شاء الله. الله يجزيك الخير يا مرح. الله يبارك فيك. نعم. ما شاء الله ما شاء الله ما شاء الله. ذهب وليد واهله بالاجر كله. الله يجزيك الخير يا مرح. الله يكرمك يا عمو ويبارك فيك. ما شاء الله عليك. الله يجزيكم الخير ويوسع عليك. اللهم اعط منفقا خلفا. اللهم اعط منفقا خلفا. اللهم اعط منفقا خلفا. اللهم بارك لهم فيما اعطيتهم يا ارحم الراحمين. بارك لهم في ازواجهم وفي ذرياتهم الى يوم الدين يا ارحم الراحمين يا ارحم الراحمين. $1,000. Who can match sister Marah? 1,000. 1,000. Squeeze your budget. Make it happen. Go extra miles. 1,000. Okay. Have the intention. Raise your hand. Encourage other people. Help us getting the school, inshallah, accredited. Moving on with the Islamic Center, inshallah, as soon as possible. Anyone who is willing to make it happen, inshallah, 1,000. Jazakallah khairan. MashaAllah. All of them are like young people. What's your name, akhi? What? Right, Mr. Brother Anonymous, right? You said brother? Oh, Badr. الله يجزيك الخير يا ولد. الله يكرمك. الله يوسع عليك ان شاء الله الدنيا والاخره. الله يكرمك. اللهم اعط منفقا خلفا. اللهم اعط منفقا خلفا. اللهم اعط منفقا خلفا. Some of you might prefer to go online and donate. That's fine. Go to guidancecollege.org. Do not go to Guidance Residential, please. Guidance. Make sure that the money comes to us and not to Guidance Residential. Guidancecollege.org. When you go to our website, you will see two different options. If you want to donate for the construction, for the masjid and like the new construction, there's the Huda Islamic Center. That's our partner in building the masjid. If you want your money to go to the scholarship and the financial aid, then you go to donate or I think support Guidance College. I will take only 1 minute, I promise, and just move on, inshallah. $1,000. How about 500? Anyone who is willing, inshallah, to make it to 500, very affordable, very small amount of money. 500 dollars. جزاك الله خيرا كثيرا اخي، بارك الله لك في اهلك وفي مالك، الله يكرمك، الله يوسع عليك ويجزيك خيرا. اسم اخي الكريم الاخ خالد، الله يكرمك، على اسم ابوي الله يرحمه، جزاك الله خيرا، الله يكرمك ويبارك فيك. هو كان ماشي بدل خالد بال 500. جزاك الله خيرا، ما شاء الله. All of them are just young people. What's your name, young man? روهيل. جزاك الله خيرا كثيرا، بارك الله لك في اهلك وفي مالك يا روهيل، جزاك الله خيرا. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala multiply your reward. Say amen. So $500 more, inshallah, and I will move on. This side, 500, 500, any 500 from the sister side, sisters in the back, behind the scene, $500. Anyone who's willing, inshallah, to make it happen. Would you please make sure that you take the pledge form with you, even if you do not have a plan to pay now. You might change your mind. You might pass it on to somebody else who is willing to donate. So you will get the reward, inshallah, through introducing this project to others. If you change your mind, again, you can go to guidancecollege.org and make your decision. For the construction, go to Huda Islamic Center, click and donate. For scholarship, financial aid, go to support guidance college. Jazakallah khairan kathira. Barakallahu lakum fima anfaqtum wa barak lakum fima awqaytum. May Allah bless whatever you paid for his cause. May Allah bless whatever you kept for yourself. Would you please make sure that you fill out the pledge form? Take your time. No. Fill out the pledge form and give it back to me. You can detach it and just keep the second part of it. This one is a brochure just for you to read more about Guidance College, and this one is the pledge form. If you insist in taking it home, that's fine. Put the check here or fill out the information for a credit card, stick it, and just throw it in the mail. It is a business reply mail. Jazakumullah khairan kathira. Okay. Now, questions. Let me start from my right side, and please limit yourself to one question, only one question. Yes, Afi, تفضل. حاضر تفضل.
So this is not the first time I assisted to the presentation like this one. I would thank you for that. So each time I assist, I get more confused about the program. So, brother, doctor, if you can talk to us about your experience of buying a house. So what you did to buy a house, or if your house is fully paid, just put yourself in one of our place and talk to us about the best way to buy a house.
نعم جزاك الله خير. Although أخي يعني we should not personalize the issue. We should like draw a line between my personal practice versus the Islamic ruling. But as my brother, I'm going to tell you a secret. Do not tell anybody else. You promise? You promise? Okay. I've been living in the USA for the last 22 years, right? For the first 15, 16 years, I did not buy a house because I was with the impression that none of those Islamic mortgage companies is a halal one. The day that we as AMJA, we found out that Guidance Residential's model is reasonable enough. Okay, I just applied for Guidance Residential, and I purchased my house through Guidance Residential. Is that a good answer for you? Did you donate for Guidance College or not? In return, right? Yeah, it's called a diminishing partnership or declining partnership. No. And with all the observations that we have, but as I said in the presentation, we are like very flexible and very open-minded, very realistic, right? If you are looking for an ideal Islamic mode of finance, you're going to spend the rest of your life buying no house, right? So let's be practical. And one day we're going to pass away. We want to at least make sure that we leave just a house for our kids to live in. Well, we are not asking too much, right? Instead of wasting our money renting houses, wasting that money, why do not you invest the same amount? Well, sometimes even less. But sometimes you pay for the mortgage less than what you pay for the rent. Do it smart, akhi. Purchase your house as soon as possible and stop wasting your money in renting houses. Right. Moving on, please limit yourself to one question. تفضل أخي الكريم.
Assalamu alaikum, jazakallah khair. Is it fine that we can buy a house and make it as an investment, like 2 family or 3 family?
that would be fine as long as you choose the right company finance with it. Yeah. So it's not for residential purposes, for residential and for commercial purposes. Go for it. I'm making a big discount for you, by the way.
جزاك الله خير.
طيب تفضل أخي.
السلام عليكم.
سلام.
أنا بالنسبة لل I'm sorry, to the degree of the fatwa, for example, Sheikh Yusuf Qaradawi, I asked him personally in 1992 and 93 to purchase a house. And he said, according to Madhab al-Hanafi, it's okay for you if you live in the house. And this fatwa is still valid as long as far as I know. Even Mujamma al-Faqih al-Rabbi still considered the fatwa is valid. And the problem with the Islamic corporation is the time they take to process the paper. Personally, I didn't try them, but this is what I heard from a couple of people that I know. It takes just too long. It's complicated process.
نعم جزاك الله خير. يعني we do respect our Sheikh Yusuf al-Qaradawi the most and حفظه الله جزاه الله عنا خيرا. But يعني respectfully we disagree with the fatwa from a fiqh perspective. We do not consider this fatwa as a strong or correct fatwa, although it has been adopted by the European Council of Research and Fatwa. This is their official position. But we disagree with this fatwa, like in a very fundamental level, based on the evidence that the Shaykh Rizallah Khair built his fatwa on, which is the Hanafi school of thought and the al-Haja tunazil manzilat al-darura. Right? So this is one thing. And the second thing, the Shaykh Rizallah Khair issued this fatwa, I think 27, 28 years ago, right? In a time where the Islamic alternative was not that obvious and clear as it is now. Nowadays, alhamdulillah, the situation is not wonderful, but it is way better than before. So it was stipulated with lack in Islamic finance. If the Islamic finance, if a halal enough Islamic finance alternative is there, then even according to the fatwa, we are supposed to avoid the traditional Islamic mortgage companies. Wallahu a'lam. Fine. Yeah. Well, I mean, we can go back and forth. I mean, it's, Sheikh, one comment you want to make? You want to make a comment? Well, let's say that you, just for discussion purposes, that you agree with me that the guidance residential model is reasonable enough. Okay, if they own 90% of my house, and they turn their face next day in the morning and sell that 90% ownership to Freddie Mac, what's wrong with them? They do not sell the loan; they sell their equity to Freddie Mac, according to them, because they own the house. And that's again, this is one of the reasons that we believe that their model is up to a certain limit, like more legitimate than other companies. None of the above. طيب let's move on. تفضل اخي الكريم.
السلام عليكم يا شيخ.
عشان المايك. طيب تفضل. لا والله تفضل افهم. اللهم اجعلنا من اهل اليسار. اليسار يعني اليسر، يعني prosperity. Say امين.
آمين.
اللهم اجعلنا من اهل اليسار. امين.
So I am one of the victims from guidance residential.
عبد الله اجرك.
I have here the mortgage and everything. But subhanallah.
Join the club. انا مسؤول.
So yeah, أنا عندي هنا كل شيء. And we pay the fees, we pay the insurance, we have, and sometimes the problem is with the escrow. Escrow going up and down. We have to pay the escrow too every month. And the other things, and if we wanna avoid Freddie, we have to own our own bank, like in England. In England, they have the Muslim people, they have their own bank. And the other things, the second one, if you give me a chance.
طيب أخي, are you asking a question or just making comments here?
No, this comment. But my question now, it's now the mortgage companies sold my mortgage to U.S. Bank. So I'm dealing with U.S. Bank, but the paper comes from guidance residence. So they still treat it by paperwork, but the mortgage going out to US escrow halal now, it's halal now. No.
US Bank is servicing the loan and not buying the loan. Servicing Akhil Karim in a sense that guidance residential outsource that business to a different company that does have enough platform, okay, infrastructure, if you wish, to process payments in a way that's way easier than and less expensive than the way that guidance residential does. Because US Bank is a very national one, so they have the platform, they have the financial and the human resources to process or to service loans. Servicing the loan does not mean that you are dealing with them. You are still dealing with guidance residential, right? But you pay through a third party. They just outsource that. No. When it comes to escrow account, as you know, this is a secondary account. You just open through the system itself, through guidance residential system, to deposit the property tax. Instead of getting stuck with the $12,000, $13,000, $14,000 toward the end of the year where you cannot pay it for the power tax, you just take it on monthly basis, the insurance and the tax. Yeah.
Alaikum. I just wanted to, before I ask my question, because I introduce you, please do not make any comments. If you want to make comments, maybe after, because you're wasting the time for other people who have a legitimate question. You can make a comment on the side because of the time, inshallah. Now the question, which has to do the first part of your lecture, and you said the riba bank has no risk, and I disagree with you. They gave you the money, and it is a risk. Any money is a risk. Can you answer that, please?
Sure. The default, Akhil Karim, the failure in paying the money is a very common risk anytime, anywhere. Even as Muslim brothers, if I lend you money, the default risk is always there. So anything that is common between Islamic and traditional is to be overlooked. We are talking about the other kind of risk. You see what I'm saying? You are done with your questions, or طيب احنا طب أخي الكريم, would you please take care of the discussion? شيخ تفضل.
So, sorry, I'm gonna take you back to the same point about selling the contract because I feel like I understood it a little bit differently. I understand that as a Muslim bank, we don't have a capital, and if you said that guidance have an ownership, but they still need that money. If you wanna just elaborate about, because I don't feel that I feel that they are selling a contract of a loan, which is not, if you want to say, legal in Islam. However, we do not have the capital, and that's why they go back to US Bank or other banks for money.
Well, when they started their business, I think 20 plus years ago, they started with a few millions of dollars, money coming from the pockets of the owners of the company. But this was serving as a seed money in order for them to operate. And by the way, Al Karim, this company cannot operate nationwide because it's obvious that they are not operating within the mainstream mortgage industry in the USA. That's why they have to take a permission or license, going state by state, doing some lobbying, talking to politicians, and so on and so forth, until they get licensed in the state, which makes it clear that their practice is not within the mainstream. Okay? Unlike La Riba actually operates 50 states. Ijara alone, which indicates clearly that there is no difference whatsoever. Guidance residential in particular is different. UIF, to my knowledge, they do have to get a license state by state, but their job is way easier because the amount of violations that they have is way more than what guidance residential have. To ask your question, Akhi, they do have their own seed money that they start their business, but in the long run, they cannot, inshallah, they cannot Akhi, operate independently and waiting for 20 or 30 years for you as a customer to pay them back. That's why they turn their face to the to Freddie Mac and just sell the contract. In this very particular scenario with guidance residential, they are selling their equity. their percentage of ownership and not the loan. If you agree with me, basically that their contract is a Sharia compliant one. تفضل أخي الكريم.
يا شيخ
طيب.
أنا كان عندي microphone is just bring I was renting when I come to US to avoid like what you were saying interest. Because if we look on this side, we know allowed as a Muslim to be an immigrant just for, like the Prophet said, to for da'wah or for not for come and making money. And then the landlord one day they send me a letter to vacant the house. Other times I have 4 kids. The youngest one he was 2 years old. And every time I go try to rent, nobody they will rent it to me. As you know, in America they don't like to rent to people they have kids. They always excuse land paying. Some of them they said the kids they damaged the apartment.
If you can go to the question after
I'm just like, and then I was forced to buy a house. I have no choice. That's the only way. Otherwise, I take my luggage and go back. And I bought a house. I heard what they said, the Qardawi, same thing. Because the Qardawi said, I get too many people calling from US. I never been in US. I don't know how the system in US. But if you live in for yourself, there is nothing wrong with that. But if you buy in 2 bedrooms, I mean two family, and you do business, this is different story. Nothing we can do. And then, like they said, the risk. What can risk? I've been with the bank. I bought a house 2003. I had the problems. 2009, as you know about where Obama bailed out the banks.
We are jumping from one topic to another one topic. Let me make a comment here. Just for discussion purposes, just imagine that someone does have a big family, right? And he cannot rent an apartment, and he does not have the financial ability of renting a house. And he did apply for those Islamic mortgage companies, and he was denied, right? So 2 options: either to live in the street to become a homeless, or to go to the closest mortgage company, mortgage a house. Do you think that that person is allowed in Islam to mortgage a house? Do you think so? Of course not. يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر. But did we like exert our ultimate effort to find out and to go and search for halal alternatives or not? Now, if you have taken the fatwa of Sheikh al-Qaradawi, that's up to you. I mean, you are following a well-known, renowned, like internationally well-known scholar. That is your choice. If you ask me as Amja, with all due respect, we disagree with the fatwa. We do not think that this fatwa is a correct thing. Was that?
Okay, so
Yeah, please. Have a question. Karim, would you take care of the question, because you are in charge here, right? So just take care.
So my question is about the the guidance residential only covered like residential buildings or homes. Do you like from like your research and Islamic Financing Institute, they do like business loans?
Yes, UIF does business, not any kind of business. It has to be connected with the kind of real estate. So Universal Islamic Financial does do commercial, not industrial, only commercial and residential. Devon Bank does residential and commercial as well.
But these two
But they're
institutions,
like very strict when it comes to commercial. I mean, you cannot finance your own office, for example, to buy. Well, it has to be connected with real estate, property, in order for them to secure their own. So they can like put a lien on the property to secure their money. So like a kind of conservative when it comes to commercial. But to answer the question, yes, they do. UIF and Devon Bank, they do both commercial and residential. Those donors, would you please make sure that you fill out the pledge form and give it to me by the time, inshallah, we finish our presentation. Questions, you give me back the pledge form. Jazakumullah khair. Questions, Fadlan, Victor. I think I already like emphasized this point that you said that this is conditional to like نعم جزاك الله خير بدر.
عندي سؤال في المبدأ من ناحية yes عندي سؤال في المبدأ I have issues with يعني Islamic finance since it is contributing in my يعني understanding to the inflation, and inflation is something that get it like hard and hard for young people to own a home. So يعني for example in Moraba Heights like an
Cost
increase
plus.
yeah it's an instant increase of the value of the house, which like worsen the inflation, just contributing to the inflation. And my second question, if I'm like almost 100% sure that it will be resold, the contract, why don't I get something cheaper, $100,000 cheaper, and I will finance the school for my kids instead of giving it to those money. So
Right. When it comes like to inflation, all those finance institutes, whether conventional or Islamic, they take into consideration the annual inflation. So they take into consideration when they do their math, when they charge you, let's say 5% or 7% interest or profit, whatever the name might be. They take into consideration the inflation. Inflation in the U.S. is around 1% a year, maybe more, maybe less. So they consider that. I mean, they do not. I mean, you do not pay. You do not set off the inflation. You pay them more, which is. I mean, very legitimate. I mean, those Islamic mortgage companies are not like charity organizations. I mean, they want to make money, but the only difference is that they try their best, or some of them at least, try their best to make their earning in a halal way, and to come up with a solution for Muslims in the U.S. instead of financing their home in a haram way. They try their best to offer whatever is they believe is a halal one. When it comes to the second question, yes, أخي, back in Jordan we say مد الحافك على قد جريك, right? مد الحافك على قد جريك. يعني if you can afford $2,000 a month, right, without stressing yourself financially, why you get involved in $3,000 and $4,000 and make your life miserable? You just keep being so worried about the monthly payment of that. I mean, just buy something within your means. I 100% agree with you, right? If your income is like if your monthly salary is $6,000 net amount, take home amount, make sure that you do not exceed $1,500 to $2,000 maximum premium or mortgage that you pay to the mortgage company. Do not involve, even if you are authorized, to buy something way more expensive. Do not take that out of it. Just stay on the safe side. No.
Assalamu alaikum. You mentioned before that my question is you said that for instance the guidance residential, the model they use is musharaka, so your mortgage is diminishing to the end. What is it that, I mean, what makes it halal? I mean, there's still the conventional bank, right? They give you the same mortgage, they give you with the same interest, and you pay your mortgage, and at the end,
this kind of misconception has been raised a while ago, since the revelation of the Quran itself. ذلك بأنهم قالوا, you continue the ayah, ذلك بأنهم قالوا إنما البيع مثل الربا وأحل الله البيع حرم الربا. Difference of al-Karim is not with the total amount that you have to pay. Difference is with the mechanism, right? With the modality, with the way that they conduct the business. And that's why I said several times in the beginning, if the Islamic finance is genuine and authentic and a sound one, not a fake one, you will find the difference.
guidance they don't share anything with you. They don't share no risk.
I already discussed this issue. Nothing to add here.
I know, but I'm asking guidance residential, they don't share any of this.
Well, they do share. Number one, they are owners through the LLC. Number two, in case of eminent domain, in case of natural disaster, in case of foreclosure, they do share the risk with them. No. So we have support from the Sheikh from the back. Now, تفضل. طيب أنا يا تفضل دكتور علي.
First of all, thank you very much for coming in all the way from Houston.
My
Appreciate
pleasure.
all of your devotion and coming to the community.
My
For
pleasure.
3 different masajid. I mean, this is great effort. Thank you very much for
Barakallah.
coming. May Allah bless you and your family
Amen.
and bless you with steps as well. Just picking up on the same question I have, many people ask us this question. So they turn around and they say, they all dealing, even guidance or others, they're going back and dealing with interest,
Freddie Mac.
Freddie Mac. So what should we tell them? I mean, what's the best answer? Like, we have existing at least
Well, there is another technical fiqh answer, Dr. Ali, which is to say that as a customer, as a practicing Muslim customer, I'm responsible for the soundness and the permissibility of the agreement that I sign with the mortgage company. Whatever they do after that is their responsibility, their liability. I'm not responsible for that. And I will give you like a very good evidence for that. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam dealt financially with mushriki Mecca before the Hijrah. Is that correct? Buying and selling and trading. And he dealt with the Jewish community in Medina after his migration, right? And both communities were heavily involved in dealing with riba. Am I correct? Well, believe it or not, it was never ever reported that the Prophet ﷺ asked someone, oh, hold a second, where did you get your money from? Was it riba? Did you borrow it? Did you get it, in a haram or a halal way? It was never ever reported that he even asked this question, which means that once you are positive that the dealing between you and the mortgage company is the halal one to your standards, to your knowledge, then whatever is done after that is their responsibility. Make sense? جزاكم الله. طيب يا جماعة الدونرز الله يجزيكم الخير. تفضل يا شيخ أحمد.
السلام عليكم.
Can you please make my day at least? I mean, when it comes to donation, pledge forms. نعم تفضل يا شيخ أحمد.
Sheikh, when let's say guidance equity sell their share of the property,
نعم.
does your payment plan change or anything in the contract change, or you just keep paying the same thing?
والله I'm not sure because until today I financed my house with guidance residential back in 2015, if I recall. Jazakallah khair. And until today, actually, I'm dealing with guidance residential, talking to them, sometimes to US Bank, because this is the servicing loan. With US Bank. But I mean, what is your point? I mean, what if you find yourself like paying to Freddie Mac? What do you want to say?
I mean, they might start charging you interest or changing the contract. Is that possible?
Well, the same answer that I gave to Dr. Ali. You are responsible for the direct agreement that you sign with guidance residential. Whatever they do after that, that's their fault, their responsibility. طيب يا جماعة, I think we are done for tonight. One more time, جزاكم الله خيرا كثيرا for your generosity and your support. بارك الله لكم فيما أنفقتم وبارك لكم فيما أبقيتم. I'll إن شاء الله making a dua for the whole community. الحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم إنا نستعينك ونستهديك ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك ونؤمن بك ونتوكل عليك ونثني عليك الخير كله. نشكرك ولا نكفرك ونخلع ونترك من يفجرك. اللهم إياك نعبد ولك نصلي ونسجد وإليك نسعى ونحفد. نرجو رحمتك ونخشى عذابك إن عذابك الجد بالكفار ملحق. اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معصيتك ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا به جنتك ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا. متعنا اللهم بأسماعنا وأبصارنا وقواتنا أبدا ما أبقيتنا واجعله الوارث منا ولا تجعل مصيبتنا في ديننا واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا وانصرنا على من عادانا ولا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا ولا مبلغ علمنا ولا إلى النار مصيرنا، ولا تسلط علينا بذنوبنا من لا يخافك فينا ولا يرحمنا، واجعل الجنة هي دارنا. اللهم اكفنا بحلالك عن حرامك، وبطاعتك عن معصيتك، وبفضلك عن من سواك. يا فارج الهم، يا كاشف الغم، يا مجيب دعوة المضطرين، يا رحمن الدنيا والآخرة ورحيمهما، أنت ترحمنا فارحمنا برحمة تغننا بها الرحمة من سواك. اللهم ارحمنا فأنت بنا راحم، ولا تعذبنا فأنت علينا قادر، والطف بنا يا مولانا فيما جرت به المقادير، ودبر لنا فإنا لا نحسن التدبير، يا من عليك العسير يسير، دبر لنا فإنا لا نحسن التدبير. اللهم إنا نعوذ برضاك من سخطك، وبعفوك من عقوبتك، وبك منك لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك. لك الحمد حتى ترضى، ولك الحمد إذا رضيت، ولك الحمد بعد الرضا، ولك الحمد على حمدنا إياك. سبحانك أنت أحسن من خلق، وأرحم من ملك، وأعدل من حكم، وأسرع من دعي، وأكرم من سئل. نسألك اللهم الجنة وما قرب إليها من قول وعمل، ونعوذ بك من النار وما قرب إليها من قول وعمل. اللهم إنا نسألك موجبات رحمتك، وعزائم مغفرتك، والعزيمة على الرشد، والغنيمة من كل بر، والسلامة من كل إثم، والفوز بالجنة والنجاة من النار. نعوذ بك من زوال نعمتك، وتبدل عافيتك، وفجاءة نقمتك، وجميع سخطك. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. جزاك الله.